Grace Savour is a restaurant that's all about kind of reflecting the hard work that our farmers in the UK do. The supply chain is really broken, our soil isn't in a great state, and sort of our whole what's going into our foods is very questionable, and it's hard to really get straightforward answers. And Grace Savour is a restaurant that's about celebrating all those who are trying to leave our land in a better way than we found it. Welcome to Grace Savour. I'm David Taylor, Chef Director, and just want to give you a little show around. So this is the restaurant dining area. Up here is our counter seating where we can do 12 people around the counter. That just gives us sort of like that very immersive experience where you kind of get to see all the chefs cook. Another aspect of our service is that we don't really have the sort of classic stations where you've got like a garnish and you've got stars or snacks. Everyone arrives at the same time, so everyone is involved in all the plating. This is the restaurant. We have 10 tables plus a counter dining area, so in total we've been able to do 28 covers. Everything within the restaurant is all handmade, so whether it's the tables, the chairs, our lampshades, they're all British handmade. Okay, so I'm just going to show you our lounge, and this is where guests arrive when they first come in, and we just want to sit them in here, get them a drink and just let them get settled into the place. So just on Hampton Manor Estate, just having a little look around to see what we can find, if there's any bits and pieces that we can use on the menu. It's interesting how, like always with anything foraging wise, you just go through dips and highs and lows, and sometimes there's an abundance and sometimes there's not very much. So very much about our menu is kind of preserving all those things and then using them at their peak. So we've got some meadowsweet here. So this is great for infusion. You need such a small amount. The wheel take all this and dehydrate them and then just use them as infusion. Our wall garden here at Grace Savour is our heartbeat of our restaurant. It's where we can get a lot of our produce that we get to use in the menu, but it also teaches us quite a lot about what's going on in our soil and our land, and also what happens when we take care of it, sort of maybe even some of the challenges our farmers and growers face, so we can just become a bit more connected in sort of how the growing world works. And so we get so many little bits and pieces that come through. It really also helps with having the chefs and our team and our guests sort of again connect with everything we're doing. So it goes back to that, not building something more than just a phone call or someone just finding all this stuff for you. It requires a real labour of love to kind of get what we want. So fermentation is an essential point of what we do, and the reason being for that is because it's a great way to preserve produce when it's at its peak, when we've got lots of it around, but not so much, say, in the winter. Preservation is also brilliant for bringing acidity, for bringing saltiness, a certain uniqueness that comes out of flavours, whether it's an umami or a sweetness that just isn't there when you just eat it as it is. And that's what fermentation does. It brings us something of a nuance to us, the seasoning. So the inspiration for my food is very much kind of trying to take one farm or idea or vegetable or fruit or the produce and celebrate that one. And this is my dish of lobster and Isle of Wight tomatoes. So just breaking down our British lobsters. So we have amazing shellfish and seafood here in the UK. And it doesn't make me more proud than getting to use British seafood. So I've just broken off the claws. I'm taking the tail, breaking that off as well. We're going to use every part of the lobster. This is what's lovely about this dish. We celebrate every single part, and that includes the claws, the tail, the shells, and the brains. In my opinion, the brains are the best part. One thing we do is when we're going to steam the lobsters, we take a spoon and we just sauce it down the inside of the lobster. And that's how we're going to steam it, like that, to keep it nice and straight. The next part, we want to take up the lobster head, split it in two, all the way through. So we get all this loveliness inside. We're going to take away the green part, and the bit that we really want to use, that we're really after, is this absolute gold here, the lobster brain. Now we've got the brains out, I'm just scraping out the rest of the head just to clear off any more of the green, and that's going to be then used for our lobster butter. So I'm going to put the lobsters in now, about 7 minutes for the claws, 4 to 5 minutes for the tails, just all depending on the size. So I've got the lobster shells that are from earlier, the heads, just the heads we want to use here, rubbed with a little bit of oil, all nicely cleaned up. I'm going to go in the oven until they're nicely roasted, and then infuse that into our butter to make our lobster butter. So just getting the claws out and putting them into the ice. So the next part we're going to do is the tomato water that we use. So this is an essential part of the whole dish and sort of the backbone. So now for our tomato water, we're going to put everything in the blender, our tomatoes and our vines. Now we've blended it up with the vines, we're going to pour that in there, and then we're going to leave that to hang for 24 hours, where we'll get a lovely clear tomato liquid. So here's the tomato water that we made yesterday, where we allowed it to hang for 24 hours. It's got a really lovely clear colour on it, and the flavour on it is very clear and pure. So I'm going to take the tomato water and I'm going to put it into a sterilised glass kiln jar. And then to it, I'm going to add raw vinegar. Once we mix together our tomato water, our vinegar and our ethanol, we need to oxygenate it for over 2 weeks. So what I'm going to do is take the stone and add it into the tomato vinegar, and then I'll just switch it on. So last stage, you just want to cover it with a J cloth. So for the tomato petals, I'm going to take the tomatoes, plunge them in boiling hot water for about 10 seconds, take them off straight into ice water. Once they're cooled, I'll then start peeling them and preparing them for our dish. So here I'm going to cut the tomatoes, take out the seeds, and we want to keep all the seed. And now, if any of them end up with a rough edge, we can always just tidy them up. So I'm going to crack the lobster shells now. We just want to be careful, just gentle taps all the way around, so we don't shatter the lobster shell into the meat, and try and keep it as whole as possible. So next we're going to do our lobster tail. First I temper it in lobster butter, then take it out of the lobster butter, skewer it, and then start to grill it gently over the barbecue. And then we'll allow it to rest again in the lobster butter before carving. So first up, I'm going to get the sauce on. So I need to take the tomato water that we made before, and heat it up, and I'm going to add what we did is took all the pulp and the tomato seeds from earlier, dehydrated them, and we're going to add that in now as a second infusion, and then we'll finish it with a little bit of the lobster butter and the butter and get the sauce ready. Next up is our lobster claw. I'm going to take the lobster claw, dress it with our tomato vine oil, tomato vinegar, a little bit of salt, and I'll finish it with some chopped chervil and mix that all together. We then make a quenelle on the plate of the lobster, cover it with all the tomato petals, it's completely covered, and then I'm going to dot over now this fennel pickle. I'm going to finish it with the chive flowers and the salad bonnet. Now take out our lovely lobster, now it's rested up in the lobster butter. Trim off the top and a little bit of the bottom and the tail, carve and split it down the middle, and then we'll serve it next to the lobster claw. Now I'm just going to get my sauce, add the brains in right in a minute, blend it and get into a nice foamy sauce, and then we're just going to spoon that over the top of the lobster claw itself. So there we have our native lobster, the tail and the claw, so with organic Isle of Wight tomatoes, finished with a fennel pickle, chive flowers and salad bonnet. So the future for the restaurant, I mean, I feel like right now, I kind of try to always think that we have this inward-outward perspective on what Grace Savour is. Inwardly, it's about how do we build teams, how do we build people, how do we build craft, how do we make sure that anyone who comes through these doors leaves like better in their craft and their leadership and their communication and all those sort of things. Also that inwardly, that thinking of the guest experience, and then always evolving it and asking questions about how we can elevate it and make it unique and special, memorable. What we talk about in the restaurant it's very politically charged. At the end of the day, there's this idea of like our soil is dying. There's a suggestion we only have about 60 harvests left until all topsoil globally is gone. From there, just kind of really expanding that idea of trying to leave our land in a better way than we found it. Hope you enjoyed my lobster and tomato serving. Click here to see some more videos, and also don't forget to like and subscribe to the Staff Canteen.